What's up, guys? Just wanted to do a quick little market update on what's going on with Tesla before we get the week started. So we're going to look at the Tesla one-day chart here. You can see we're capturing that entire run-up that started in May, kind of off the bottom. Um, this is a secondary wave off of the original bottom that started back in December. Um, and we're really just going to focus on the price action that's been happening lately. Um, so you can see back in July, we had a topping candle, and from there we drastically sold off. It's a nice gap, which we have not come back to retest. We did not quite hit supply as far as the order block goes that came during that bearish moves from 2022, but we nearly got there, right? We got what $300 and sold off immediately. No big surprise that big round number 300. Lot of orders waiting there to be filled, which caused again the drastic sell off. So we came down, we chopped around, we ultimately sold off. A lot of confusion here during this chop. Bulls wanting the price to run back up above 300. Um, Bears wanted the price to fall. Ultimately, we came down to 212.28 or around, and retested this change of character, which gave us a balanced price zone right here, right? We ran up, we changed character, we topped, we came back down, we tested the character change. I broke it by a little bit, but not by too much. We had a bottoming, spinning top candle. Ultimately, we ran back up again, right? So when we ran back up, we left a nice little fair value gap here. You can see um, when that fair value gap was left. Had a couple candles that tested it. We ran off of it. We came back down to it. We ran off again, leaving it open, and we ultimately ran up. So the way you check these fair value gaps is by looking at um, wicks. So this candle wick high to this candle wick low is that fair value gap. Fair value gaps are magnetic, so oftentimes price runs off the fair value gap, and then price will return down to the fair value gap, but not in all cases, right? You can see on this one, we ran back down into the consequent encroachment or the median of this fair value gap, right? And we rejected it almost perfectly, and we left all these fair value gaps open. We could come back and test these at a later date. I do have 191 marked as an area of importance if we do get going down in that direction. We also got demand down here in the 160 range, and we got all these fair value gaps that could potentially be tested or close. But as far as what's going on right now, we ran off that fair value gap, a nice big breakout candle. My indicator doesn't show that a fair value gap is here, but again, measuring wick to wick and looking at the inside area, um, there is a fair value gap right here. So we tested it, nice big breakdown candle, right? Chose not to go below the low of this breakdown candle, leaving the fair value gap open. Wicks do damage, but they don't close gaps if the candle doesn't close below the low, in this case of a bullish fair value gap. So you can see the candle closed above the low of that fair value gap. We had a nice retest candle. Did not close above the high of this breakdown candle. Had an inside day. Again, wick tested the low of the fair value gap. Did not close the candle below it. Next day, again, testing this breakout or rebalance candle. We wicked below it, but never closed outside of it. Very next day, we had a gap up, and we ultimately tried to make a run from a higher on it, a high, but not. We didn't even get all the way into liquidity, and here we sit. So we're sitting inside of a fair value gap, but indication is strong that we attempted this at 4 times. See, wick closed above, broke above, came back down and tested it. So 4 days, tested it, did not close. Fifth day, we closed higher than this day here. So that is a strong indication, especially off this move where we do have a, bull pennant or bull flag, whatever you want to call it. We are setting lower lows, but we are keeping the lows here as far as keeping that fair value gap open. So what we could expect if this wants to move higher and keep this fair value gap open, that we start heading towards liquidity right here. Liquidity is found in this candle's top wick, and it looks like it's sitting around 257 up into the low 260s. So we could push up to there and find ourselves getting rejected if it's just a run on liquidity. Um, and if we reject there, we'll come back down. We could test this fair value gap, and we could potentially come back down into this fair value gap, depending on what the market wants to do. But we also could head higher through this liquidity and then come back up here to test the previous month high of 266.50. Ultimately, even potentially making a run on this gap where we could find rejection and sellers lurking to head us back down, or we could find ourselves actually going all the way up into supply into the 300s. So there's going to be a lot on the table right now. Um, Again, when we get this chop back and forth, the market sometimes seems a little bit indecisive. So it can be hard to tell, what's going on. It can be hard to trade that chop. And so, if you're not in and you're looking for, kind of a longer term play, you could be looking at this liquidity and see if we get a breakout. You could look at breaking this fair value gap and see if we get a breakdown, and then kind of just ride the momentum of the trend in either direction. We'll look at a few lower time frame charts. See if we can go down to the 1 hour. Got the same kind of stuff going on, right? On the 1 hour, we got a nice fair value gap that's been left open here. This one has not been tested. We ran off of it. We came back down. We actually kept this fair value gap open as well. And then kind of had a fake out of a break of structure here, which then we ended up running back off of. The 1 hour also shows a fair value gap here. Again, it wasn't indicated on the 1 day chart. I have it marked here. I marked it myself because I saw it was there. But the 1 hour also, it shows that we have a similar area of interest. You can see on this 1 hour, we haven't even come back down to fully test the bottom of that gap, and uh, we continue to test the same range. And although we're setting lower lows, we're maintaining this 243 area, um, which is important. If we continue to build support off that, eventually we can run up even further while orders continue to build up on these lows down in this range. So I do see we have a break of structure here, which was eventually balanced by this move up here. We also have the change of character off of this candle that eventually this move here was also rebalanced by coming back down. So no clear indication on these moves. Just by looking at this time frame. Again, we got liquidity sitting in the blue box here, where if we wanted to push lower, we would run on liquidity and then head down. Or like I said earlier, we could just kind of push through it and head up to test the previous month's high. And then we can look at like the 15-minute chart. And you can see some indication that some bearish movements have been going on with the bearish fair value gaps. But ultimately, what I want to point out is that we had change of character over here that ended up getting met eventually with a price rebalance with this move, going up into liquidity in this wick and rejecting. Also having another change of character as we made this move from the low up, right? But ultimately coming over here to get rebalanced again with this move down. you see just a lot of chop this week, this previous week. Um, but just price balancing, rebalancing again, building up momentum for a move that's coming in the future, whether it's up or down, that hasn't been determined yet. Another change of character as we moved up here and filled the gap, right? Change of character, but again, got tested by this rebalancing move, where we also set another change of character that has yet to be tested. So what I'm anticipating happening is that we are going to see a retest of the 250 price, maybe a little higher, but somewhere around 250 in the next week as we push up. Whether we go higher or lower, I do anticipate that 250 will be tested in order to rebalance that price range and then make a determination whether we're heading up or down. So just wanted to provide that quick update for you guys before the market opens on Monday. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, thanks, guys.